for many years, we've focused on what we felt was the very solvable problem of ensuring that kids in this country got 3 meals a day. We knew that we had the food, we knew that we had the food programs. So it felt like an eminently solvable problem. And up until 10 weeks ago, we were getting tantalizingly close to solving it. And I don't mean to say that we would have solved it in another month or in another year, but we were getting to the point in community after community where we were seeing poverty, unfortunately, we were seeing food insecurity and all the stresses that come with that. But we were also seeing that the kids who were poor and food insecure were not necessarily hungry. They were getting 3 meals a day, thanks to the millions of kids that we'd added to school breakfast, the thousands, tens of thousands of summer meal sites that we'd helped establish, the advocacy and the policy work that we had done. And now, in many ways, we find ourselves beginning anew. As urgent as our work is around COVID and replacing those school meals, as urgent as our work is collectively, and I know this is a shared sentiment, about advancing towards a more just society, particularly in terms of racial justice. I hope everybody on this call, as you recommit to the work ahead, will also take some solace from the fact that you've been in this fight for a long time. This is not new for most of you on this call. Every time that we have acted together in a way that contributed to help feeding a child, we were not only feeding a child, but we were strengthening a family. And every time as a community we worked to strengthen a family, we were building stronger communities around this country in which people had the strength and the ability to stand up for equity and justice. So our work from the beginning has been very tied to these issues. And now with the COVID pandemic, as I say, we in some ways have had to start anew. 10 weeks ago, almost all the schools in this country closed, virtually every school. And the kids who depended on all those school meals that we had helped them access now found that those meals were not available in that way. And we had to do at least two things. We had to change the laws rapidly, and we did within the first weeks of the crisis. We got Congress to make it so that the law that said you could only give a meal to a child enabled us to give meals to parents who were coming to schools to grab and go sites to pick them up. The law that said you could only give a child 1 meal said that you could give them 5 meals or 10 meals so that their parents wouldn't have to come to the school every day. So we did a lot of advocacy and policy work, but we also, and we currently are supporting an enormous number of boots on the ground that are actually getting these meals to kids. In the last 10 weeks, we've made grants of, I'm going to say, $19.5 million to over 800 organizations around this country. 60% of them are school districts and schools. The rest are community organizations, boys and girls clubs, YMCAs that are working to get meals to kids that are federally reimbursed so that the leverage on every dollar that we raise and contribute to this process has this very powerful multiplier effect, as it always has. So that's the work that we've been doing to replace every school meal that we can. Summertime has always been, even before COVID, one of the hardest times for us, because with the schools closed, that infrastructure goes missing. Now, many of the programs that we put in place over the last 10 weeks have been extended. The congressional legislation and policies that I described, those waivers have been extended, so we're going to be able to feed kids throughout the summer. And the next task, which is going to be vitally urgent, and we're going to need everybody's help, is going to be to help our country's schools get ready to open in very different ways. Our focus will be on how those schools feed kids, but we know that there's going to be dozens, if not hundreds, of variations of how kids go back to school. And in communities where kids might be going to school Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and other kids Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, for reasons of social distancing, or kids going in the morning and other kids going in the afternoon, we're going to have to find new ways to reconfigure all of the feeding programs at those schools. The meals of 30 million kids are at stake in this. So it's a massive task. There's no question in my mind that we're up to it just based on the progress that we've made over the last number of weeks. I think we all know that the economic crisis, with some 40 million Americans applying for unemployment benefits, is going to last longer even than the health crisis. But again, whether it's the health crisis, whether it's COVID, whether it's unemployment, the most solvable aspect of all of this is getting meals to kids. It's something that we can do. We're not waiting for a vaccine to do it. We're not waiting for more equipment or gear. We can get these meals to these kids.